The call from the stars. The distress signal pulsed through the vast chamber of the Galactic Council, its melodic tones belying the desperate message it carried. This is Elder Zivai of the Luminary Collective. Our worlds are under attack. Entities we do not understand are harvesting our outer settlements. Our people are vanishing. We have no defense. Please, we beg for assistance. The message repeated, echoing among the 23 representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. Councillor Vextrol, whose cephalopod ancestry was evident in both his multiple appendages and calm demeanor, silenced the recording with a gesture of his primary tentacle. This is the 14th cycle the message has been broadcasting, he said, his translator converting his ultrasonic speech to standard galactic. The Luminari are being systematically destroyed. Ambassador Nihilith of the Frisari Confederation leaned forward, her scale-crested head catching the chamber's light. By the Void Reapers, if our intelligence is correct. They've discovered that Luminari crystal formations can be processed into quantum stabilizers worth fortunes on the black market. Effectively mining sentient beings for parts, growled Representative Orton of the Mech Collective, his mechanical voice modulator conveying his disgust perfectly despite his species' inability to form emotional vocalizations. High Mediator Tholax, who had held her silence thus far, finally spoke. Her species, the ancient Frossi, were among the founding members of the Council and rarely intervened in debates unless absolutely necessary. The Luminari homeworld is at the outer reaches of charted space, she said, her translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. Our peacekeeping vessels would require 38 standard cycles to reach them. By then, the Void Reapers will have completed their harvest. What about the Dromarni? Their ships are faster than most, suggested Ambassador Nihilith. The Dromarni are in their centennial hibernation phase, Councillor Vextrol replied. They cannot be roused for another 12 cycles. A heavy silence fell across the chamber. Every representative knew what option remained, but none wished to voice it. It was Captain Jordak Tesh, military liaison to the Council, who finally stated the obvious. There is one species whose homeworld is positioned closer to the Luminari system. One with vessels capable of reaching them in time. High Mediator Tholaxer's skin darkened to a deep indigo. The humans. The chamber erupted in overlapping objections and concerns. The humans are barely a century into Council membership. Their evolutionary psychology is rooted in predation. They still maintain military forces. Captain Tesh raised his voice above the din. The humans have responded to 17 distress calls since joining the Council. 17. No other species comes close to that record. And in each case, countered Ambassador Nihilith, they responded with violence. Only against aggressors, Tesh pointed out. Never against those who called for aid. High Mediator Tholax raised one elongated hand for silence. When she spoke again, her voice was heavy with the weight of ages. The humans named their first interstellar vessel, Curiosity, she said. Their second was called Mercy. Yet both carried weapons capable of reducing small moons to rubble. This, duality, is what makes them so difficult to predict, and so dangerous. Councillor Vextrol shifted uncomfortably. The Luminari evolved without predators on their homeworld. They have no concept of violence, no understanding of warfare. If we send humans, the Luminari will have no concept of survival either if we delay, interrupted Captain Tesh. The Void Reapers have harvested 3 outer settlements already. The humans may be unpredictable, but the Reapers are not, they will continue until nothing remains. High Mediator Tholaxer's skin cycled through shades of deep thought before returning to her normal hue. We will vote, she declared. The vote was close, 12 to 11 in favor. The High Mediator composed a formal request and transmitted it through the special diplomatic channel established for communication with Earth. Most Council members expected a delay, perhaps a polite refusal. Earth had maintained a curious distance since joining the galactic community, sending only a handful of diplomats who rarely spoke at meetings. The reply came 3 minutes later. HMS Avalanche responding. Ether 42 hours. Coordinates confirmed. Captain Tesh read the message aloud. Several council members exchanged confused glances. HMS, asked Ambassador Nylith. A traditional Earth naval designation, Captain Tesh explained. His Majesty's ship, from one of their historical maritime powers. But the Avalanche. He trailed off. What is it, Captain? Pressed the High Mediator. The Avalanche is not a diplomatic vessel or a scientific explorer, Tesh said slowly. It's a Tempest-class warship. The chamber fell silent once more. Even the air circulation system seemed to quiet in response to this news. They are sending warriors, whispered Representative Orton. They are sending help, corrected Captain Tesh. The only kind they know how to send. Captain Nadara Kui stood on the bridge of HMS Avalanche, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display showing their approach to the Luminary system. At 43, she had the weathered look of a career officer, someone who had seen enough of both diplomacy and conflict to understand the razor-thin line between them. Time to arrival, she asked, her voice carrying the soft traces of her Lebanese ancestry despite generations of her family living off Earth. 28 minutes, Captain, replied Lieutenant Darian Wells from the navigation station. He was young for his position, but his skills in hyperspace calculations were unmatched in the fleet. Status of the Reaper vessels. Commander Juno Nakamura, Kui's executive officer, manipulated the holographic display with practiced gestures. 7 ships in orbit around the Luminary homeworld. 2 appear to be processing vessels, essentially mobile refineries. The other 5 are combat-capable scavenger ships. Nothing we can't handle. Kui nodded, her expression neutral despite the confidence in her Exo's assessment. Let's not underestimate them. The Void Reapers have survived this long because they are adaptable. The bridge doors whispered open as Dr. Ekaterina Volkov entered. The ship's xenobiologist didn't often appear on the bridge during approach preparations, and her presence drew Kui's attention immediately. Doctor, I assume you have information about our soon-to-be hosts? Volkov nodded, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun. The Luminari are unlike any species we've encountered, Captain. They are silicon-based, crystalline in structure, with a distributed consciousness network rather than individualized brains as we understand them. She projected images onto the tactical display, beings that resembled walking geodes, their surfaces covered in translucent crystal formations that pulsed with inner light. They towered nearly 3 meters tall but moved with surprising grace. They are essentially living crystal, Volkov continued. And they evolved in perfect harmony with their environment. No predators, minimal environmental threats. Their entire civilization developed around concepts of growth, healing, and artistic expression. They can focus light through their bodies to create spectacular displays, and they've developed healing techniques that border on the miraculous for compatible physiologies. Commander Nakamura frowned. And the Reapers are, what? Mining them. Precisely, Volkov confirmed grimly. Luminary crystal contains unique properties for quantum computing and energy stabilization. The Reapers harvest the formations, killing the Luminari in the process. Kui's jaw tightened. Do the Luminari understand what's happening to them? Do they comprehend violence? That's the most troubling part, Volkov admitted. They don't. The concept is entirely foreign to them. They are empathic across their crystal network, they feel each other's deaths, but they have no framework for understanding why it's happening or how to stop it. Lieutenant Wells looked up from his station. So they are feeling their people being harvested, but they can't conceptualize fighting back. Correct, said Volkov. And there's more. When we arrive, our emotional states, our capacity for violence, our willingness to fight, may be as frightening to them as the Reapers themselves. Kui considered this information carefully. So we're going to rescue people who might be terrified of us. People who may not understand we're trying to help. Exactly, Captain. The intercom chimed. Captain, message from Admiral Hodgson, reported the communications officer. Put him through, Kui ordered. Admiral Hodgson's weathered face appeared on the main view screen. Captain Kui, I've just received a rather agitated communication from the Galactic Council. It seems they are having second thoughts about our involvement. With respect, Admiral, We're 25 minutes from arrival. The luminari are being harvested as we speak. Hodgson nodded. I'm aware. I've informed the council that the avalanche will proceed as planned. However, they've requested, quite emphatically, that you attempt diplomatic contact with the Reapers before engaging. Kui couldn't entirely hide her incredulity. The Void Reapers are known slave traders and pirates. They don't do diplomacy. I'm well aware, Captain. Nevertheless, make the attempt. For the record. Understood, sir. One more thing, Kui. Hodgson's expression softened slightly. The Council is monitoring this situation closely. They call us the mercy bearers behind our backs. Did you know that? I'd heard the term, sir. It's not meant as a compliment. They find it ironic that the most violent species in the galaxy is the one most likely to respond to distress calls. He leaned forward. Make them understand why we bear that name, Captain. Hodgson out. As the Admiral's image disappeared, Kui turned to her bridge crew. Battle stations. Bring weapon systems to standby, but keep them powered down until my order. Commander Nakamura, prepare a diplomatic hail to the Void Reapers on all frequencies. You don't actually expect them to respond, do you? Nakamura asked quietly. No, Kui admitted. But we'll try anyway. Because that's what separates us from them. She paused, then added, and prepare boarding teams. If we can't convince the Reapers to leave peacefully, we'll need to extract any luminary they've already captured. As the crew moved with practiced efficiency to their stations, Kui returned her gaze to the tactical display. Somewhere in that system, a species that had never known violence was experiencing it for the first time. And humanity, a species that had known little else throughout its evolution, was rushing to their aid. The irony wasn't lost on her. The Council called them mercy bearers with disdain, yet here they were, once again answering a call that no one else would. Perhaps mercy didn't always come in the form others expected or understood. Sometimes it came with weapons powered and shields raised, because true mercy meant doing whatever was necessary to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. Entering Luminary System in 10 minutes, Captain, announced Lieutenant Wells. Kui straightened her uniform. Let's introduce ourselves to the Void Reapers. The light in the darkness. The HMS Avalanche emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Luminary System, its stealth systems immediately engaging to mask its presence. On the bridge, Captain Nadara Kui studied the tactical display with narrowed eyes. Full sensor sweep, she ordered. I want detailed readings on every Reaper vessel. The holographic display flickered as it populated with data. 7 Void Reaper ships orbited the crystalline world of Lumina Prime, 2 larger vessels with extensive storage compartments and 5 smaller, more maneuverable craft. The 2 larger ships are definitely processing centers, reported Ensign Javier Torres from the sensor station. I'm detecting massive crystal storage and life signs. Luminary life signs, stored in containment. Commander Nakamura zoomed in on the planet's surface. Multiple harvesting operations in progress. They are working systematically, starting from the smaller settlements and moving toward what appears to be the central Luminary collective. Dr. Volkov, who had remained on the bridge, leaned forward to study the images. That central formation is their primary consciousness hub. If the Reapers reach it, they won't, Kui said firmly. Lieutenant Wells, position us between the nearest Reaper vessel and the planet. Commander Nakamura, open a channel to all Reaper ships. Channel open, Captain. Kui stood, her posture straight and commanding. This is Captain Nadara Kui of the Earth vessel HMS Avalanche. You are engaged in the unauthorized harvesting of sentient beings. Cease all operations immediately and withdraw from this system. The bridge crew waited in tense silence. After several moments, the view screen flickered to life, revealing a humanoid figure with mottled gray skin and cybernetic implants covering half of its face. One eye was natural, a piercing yellow, while the other was a mechanical construct that whirred as it focused. This is Captain Voke of the Void Collective, the figure replied, its voice carrying an electronic undertone. We claim salvage rights to the crystal deposits in this system. There is no unauthorized harvesting occurring. The crystal deposits you refer to are the Luminari, a sentient species and member of the Galactic Council, Kui responded, her voice ice-cold. Voke's expression remained unchanged. The Council has no jurisdiction in this region. These resources are unclaimed. I'm giving you one opportunity to release all Luminari captives and depart peacefully. The Reaper captain's mechanical irritated slightly. And if we decline, then I will be forced to remove you myself. A harsh, grating sound emerged from Voke's throat. Laughter, Kui realized. One ship against 7. The humans truly are as arrogant as they say. The Reaper leaned forward. We've heard of your kind. Evolved predators playing at diplomacy. But you're outnumbered and outgunned. Leave now, and perhaps we'll spare your vessel. Kui's expression remained impassive. You were warned. She cut the transmission with a gesture. Battle stations. Target their weapons systems and engines only. We need those ships intact to rescue the captives. Captain, Nakamura interjected, we're receiving a transmission from the surface. It's the Luminari. On screen. The view screen changed to show a towering crystalline being, its surface pulsing with internal light that shifted between blues and greens. Its face, if it could be called that, was a complex arrangement of crystalline formations that somehow conveyed emotion despite its alien structure. Earth vessel, the being's melodic voice echoed, I am Elder Zivai. Your arrival brings both hope and confusion. We sense your intention to engage in conflict. Kui nodded respectfully. Elder Zivai, we've come to help. The beings harvesting your people will not respond to peaceful requests. To stop them, we must use force. The crystalline being's lights pulsed rapidly, conveying what Kui guessed was distress. Force, we have no concept for this. We sense in you a capacity for something we cannot comprehend. It radiates from your vessel, from your minds. Violence, Kui acknowledged. Yes, we are capable of it. But we use it only to protect those who cannot protect themselves. This protection, it creates harm. Dr. Volkov stepped forward. Captain, they truly don't understand. The Luminari evolved without the concept of causing harm to achieve a goal. Kui addressed the Elder again. We will try to explain later, but now we must act. The Reapers are approaching your central collective. Will you trust us, even though you don't understand our methods? The Luminari was silent for a long moment, its light cycling through multiple patterns. We will trust. But we request to observe. To understand. Granted, Kui said. Now please, seek shelter. As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Wells reported, 3 Reaper vessels moving to intercept us, Captain. The other 4 are continuing harvesting operations. Raise shields. Power weapons, Kui ordered. Target the lead vessel's propulsion system. The Avalanche's advanced tactical systems locked onto the approaching Reaper ships. With precision that spoke of countless drills and simulations, the Earth vessel fired a series of concentrated energy pulses that struck the lead Reaper ship precisely at its engine housing. The vessel immediately began to drift, its power systems fluctuating. Direct hit, reported the tactical officer. Their engines are disabled. The other 2 vessels are breaking formation, Nakamura observed. They are attempting to flank us. Rotate shields accordingly, Kui ordered. Launch countermeasures. The space around the Avalanche blossomed with defensive drones, small autonomous units that acted as both decoys and point defense. As the Reaper vessels opened fire, the drones intercepted much of the barrage, sacrificing themselves to protect their mother ship. Return fire. Disable their weapons first, then engines, Kui commanded. The battle unfolded with mechanical precision, the Avalanche moving with surprising agility for its size. Earth's military designers had always emphasized maneuverability, a lesson learned from millennia of warfare that had been applied to space combat with devastating effectiveness. Within minutes, 3 Reaper vessels floated powerless. But the remaining 4 had organized a more coordinated response, converging on the avalanche from multiple vectors. They are adapting to our tactics, Nakamura warned. As expected, Kui replied. Deploy boarding teams to their disabled vessels. Priority is rescuing any Luminary captives. Captain, interrupted Dr. Volkov, I'm receiving strange readings from the planet's surface. The Luminary are connecting somehow. Their crystal network is amplifying. On the tactical display, points of light began to appear across the planet's surface, thousands of them, then tens of thousands, all pulsing in unison. What are they doing? Kui asked. Before Volkov could answer, a wave of energy erupted from the planet, not destructive, but a cascading pulse that washed over everything in orbit. As it passed through the avalanche, every crew member felt a momentary sensation of connection, understanding, purpose. And when it reached the Reaper vessels, their systems began to fail. Their ships are powering down, reported Torres in disbelief. All of them. It's like someone just turned them off. Dr. Volkov's eyes widened. The Luminary. They are not just empathic, they can influence electronic systems through their crystalline network. They are preventing the Reapers from harming anyone else. But they don't understand violence, Nakamura said. How could they? They understand protection, Kui realized. They learned from us. In the aftermath, Lieutenant Darian Wells stood in the central chamber of the Luminary Collective, surrounded by towering crystalline beings whose surfaces shimmered with complex patterns of light. As the Avalanche's diplomatic liaison, he had been tasked with explaining humanity's actions to these peaceful beings who had never before witnessed conflict. Your intervention saved many of our collective, Elder Zivai's harmonious voice resonated through the chamber. Yet we struggle to comprehend the concept you call fighting. Wells nodded. It's difficult to explain to a species that evolved without predators or competition. The simplest way I can put it is that sometimes, to prevent greater harm, we must cause lesser harm. A paradox, another Luminary noted, its lights pulsing in what Wells had come to recognize as confusion. Yes, Wells agreed. One of many that define humanity. We are capable of both great violence and great compassion, sometimes simultaneously. We observed this duality in your actions, Zivai said. Your weapons disabled rather than destroyed. Your soldiers risked themselves to rescue our captured kin. Wells smiled slightly. Captain Kui believes that how we fight reveals more about us than whether we fight at all. The massive crystal chamber hummed with a resonance that Wells had learned indicated Luminary communication, thousands of crystalline beings sharing thoughts and experiences through their network. We have integrated what we observed, Zivai finally stated. Though we cannot fully comprehend violence, we now understand protection. You call yourselves humans. The Galactic Council calls you mercy bearers. We will call you guardians of light. Aboard the Avalanche, Captain Kui faced a transmission from the Galactic Council. High Mediator Tholax's translucent features filled the view screen. The situation has been resolved, Tholax acknowledged, her skin cycling through shades of what might have been reluctant approval. The Luminary are safe, and the Void Reapers have been apprehended. The Luminary themselves disabled the Reaper vessels, Kui pointed out. We merely showed them it was possible to resist. Yes, Tholax replied. A curious outcome. You taught a completely peaceful species to defend themselves, yet did so without corrupting their fundamental nature. She paused. The Council has been re-evaluating its understanding of humanity. Kui raised an eyebrow but remained silent. When we named your kind the Mercy Bearers, it was not meant as a compliment, Tholax admitted. We saw only the contradiction, warriors who claimed to value peace, predators who answered calls for help. But perhaps we were incomplete in our assessment. Humanity evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day, Kui said simply. We survived by fighting, first against nature, then against each other. But we also survived by cooperation, by protecting our communities, by valuing life precisely because it can be so easily lost. Tholax's skin shifted to a thoughtful blue. The Luminary have formally requested a permanent human presence in their system. A protection force. Have they? Kui couldn't hide her surprise. I would have thought our capacity for violence would disturb them too greatly for such an arrangement. On the contrary, though Lax replied. They find your duality fascinating. Elder Zivai specifically stated that humans carry darkness so others may remain in the light. A poetic assessment, if somewhat dramatic. Commander Nakamura, standing outside the transmission pickup, suppressed a smile. The Council will, of course, be observing this arrangement closely, though Lax continued. But we have approved the request. The HMS Avalanche will remain in the Luminary system until a permanent station can be constructed. After the transmission ended, Nakamura approached her captain. It seems we've made an impression. On the Luminary or the Council? Kui asked wryly. Both. Nakamura handed her a data pad. The Luminary have been analyzing our cultural database. They are particularly interested in an old Earth concept they discovered. Kui looked down at the pad and couldn't help but laugh. The screen displayed an ancient symbol, a shield with a medical caduceus emblazoned across it. Beneath it was written, Guardians of Light, diplomacy through strength, peace through protection. They understand us better than the Council does, Kui observed. Perhaps because they didn't begin with preconceptions, Nakamura suggested. They saw us as we are, not as they feared we might be. Kui gazed out the viewport at the crystalline world below. The Mercy Bearers, she murmured. Maybe it's not such a bad name after all. 6 months later, Elder Zivai stood before the Galactic Council, its crystalline form radiating with complex patterns that the Council members had learned to recognize as confidence and purpose. The human presence has transformed our understanding, Zivai told the assembled representatives. We have learned that the capacity for protection and the capacity for harm are intertwined, yet remain distinct through choice. And your people are comfortable with this? Ambassador Nilith asked skeptically. With warriors in your midst. We see not warriors, but guardians, Zivai corrected. Beings who carry the burden of understanding violence so that others need not comprehend it. Captain Tesh, watching from his observer's position, exchanged a knowing glance with the human ambassador. The Council had never truly understood humanity, had seen only the predator species, the evolutionary killers. They had missed entirely the protective instinct that drove humans to answer distress calls from strangers, to place themselves between danger and the defenseless. The humans call it standing in the breach, Zivai continued. Positioning oneself at the point of greatest danger so that others may remain safe behind. It is a concept we could not have imagined before their arrival, yet now find essential to our understanding of the galaxy. High Mediator though Laxer's skin pulsed with thoughtful patterns. And you believe this justifies their methods? We believe, Zivai replied, its crystalline resonance filling the chamber, that mercy takes many forms. Sometimes as compassion. Sometimes as healing. And sometimes, when necessary, as a shield raised against those who would do harm. The Elder's light patterns shifted to a deep, resonant blue. You named them mercy bearers in irony. We name them thus in truth. As the Council members absorbed these words, Captain Tesh reflected that perhaps the greatest irony was this: it had taken a species with no concept of violence to fully understand humanity's place in the galaxy. Not as conquerors or predators, but as protectors, beings whose evolutionary path had forged in them both the capacity for violence and the determination to use that capacity in defense of others. The mercy bearers. Those who carried darkness so others could remain in the light. Those who stood in the breach. Light and shadow. Protection and force. Contradictions that somehow, in humanity, formed a coherent whole. A paradox that even the Galactic Council was finally beginning to understand. And in the vastness of space, aboard the HMS Avalanche, Captain Nadara Kui received the transmission from the Council chamber and smiled. It seems, she told her crew, that we've finally been properly introduced to the galaxy.